So mostly in today's session, we would be covering why Power BI, its comparison with the other tools which are available. Just to get started with, I've taken a snapshot of comparison how Power BI is, more specifically trending as compared to any other tool which you have in the market. So this is for India as a geography. You compare Power BI with any geography in the world. If you compare the US market also, somewhere Power BI would be most trending. Almost every region, every state, US would have Power BI as more kind of trending tool if you compare with the any other tools. Now, the most comparable tool with Power BI is Tableau. So we will first see few insights related to Tableau also, how Power BI is powerful, how you can compare it with Tableau, what is the basic difference. I've created some kind of tabular format information. So if you compare Tableau with Power BI, this is the basic comparison. There are few changes to this specific comparison also because Power BI is getting frequently updated on monthly basis. We have multiple updates to the Power BI. But basically, if you compare the primary differences between Tableau and Power BI, in Power BI, we get 30 plus default visuals. Now, charts are nothing but visuals. So whenever you're creating any report, we try to create certain visual from the data which is present. So with the help of that visual, we will get some additional understanding. So in Power BI, if you compare it with Tableau, Tableau has default 24 visuals only, whereas in Power BI, we have 30 plus default visuals. Now, along with 30 plus visuals, one of the advantage of using Power BI is we get more than 300 visuals which are separately available from the marketplace. Now, what does marketplace is? It is nothing but a Google Play Store. If you compare, in Google Play Store, we have all the applications, right? In iOS Store also, the Apple iOS Store, as well as the Google Play Store. So we have all the applications which are present there. So similarly, in Marketplace, you will get multiple visuals there. You can download that visual directly to the Power BI if you're not satisfied with the 30 visuals which are available as of. So this is the basic difference. If you want, along with this 24 visuals which are available in Tableau, you want to create a visual which is not a part of the default, which is available in Tableau. So you have to certainly write a code of information. So you have to write something, you have to get that information, only then an additional visual would be created. So the primary drawback of Tableau, if you compare it with Power BI, in Power BI, we can get 350 visuals. Whereas in case of Tableau, 24 to 25 default visuals are only available. If you want to create some additional visual, you have to end up writing a code there. So that is the basic difference. Now, along with creating the visuals, if you're trying to get data from multiple data sources, that is also primarily very important. So how many different data sources we can connect to Power BI? There are 100 plus data sources which are available, which we can directly connect with Power BI. And if you compare it with Tableau, Tableau has around 80 data sources. Now that is the basic difference. In Tableau, you cannot connect certain data sources directly. You have to use some ETL tool. Accepted in Power BI also, there are few limitations, but in direct comparison, Power BI has 20 plus more additional data source connectivities. So from where you are getting the data, that component is called as data source. So from a certain source, you're getting that data. So somewhere around 100 sources, somewhere around 80 different sources. Now, one of the most important difference compared to Tableau and Power BI is built-in ETL tool. Now, one who knows Tableau, you will have a basic idea about Tableau Prep. There is a tool called as Tableau Prep. Now, this Tableau Prep is also it looks like an ETL tool, but this is not a common ETL tool. Not all the options are available inside this Tableau Prep. Whereas in case of Power BI, we have a ETL tool or we have a transformation tool called as Power Query. Now, this is one of the component of Power BI. Going further, we would be discussing the components. But just to give you an idea, in Tableau, we do not have any built-in complete ETL tool. Whereas in Power BI, we have Power Query, which is more powerful and all the transformations are easily doable. Now, coming down to the most important part is the costing. If you see the cost, see, I would be discussing the functions, but prior to functions, one of the most important aspect which every individual or organization usually compares is what is the costing of the tool which we are using. So in case of Tableau, per user per month, you have to spend per user per month. We have to spend 70 US dollars. This is the minimum spending which is you have to do for Tableau. Whereas in Power BI, it always starts from minimum 10 $10 per user per month. So that is how cheap Power BI is if you compare it with Tableau. Because premium, there are different licenses which are available in Power BI. One is the Pro license, one is premium per user license, and one is premium per capacity license. So depending on the exact usage, we have to select 70 is the minimum part. It can increase if the number of users and the load on the Tableau engine also increases. Similarly, for Power BI also, per user minimum you have to spend 10 US dollars. The drastic difference of 60 US dollars is there. So this is what makes Power BI a very, you can say, easy to go tool, very cost effective, because $10 is one of the most cheapest product which you can think of in current market. Now coming down to the functions. See, functions is nothing but your formulas. For any reporting tool also, if you are not satisfied with whatever information is available inside that reporting tool, you have to write few functions to get the data prepared first. So that functions, we have 350 functions as of now, which are available in Power BI. Now that functions are called as DAX functions. There are around 350 DAX functions which are available. Now the question comes, do we use all these 350 DAX functions? No, 120 DAX functions are frequently used. There are many DAX functions which are recently introduced since last 1 year, since last 2 years. There were around 120 DAX functions which are recently introduced. That functions are rarely used, but we have flexibility to have 350 DAX formulas. If you compare it with Tableau, you have only 200 DAX, or you can say 200 formula functions which are available in Tableau. So in every aspect, Tableau, if you compare it with Power BI, Power BI is more efficient, Power BI is easy to go, and Power BI is a cheaper tool. Now coming down to storage, this is where Tableau is more beneficial as compared to Power BI. Now, if you take a look at this unlimited storage, and if you take a look at this 100 TB storage, would you think 100 TB is less storage? Anyone, can you think 100 TB is very less storage? Accepted, Tableau has unlimited storage, but 100 TB of storage is also very, very large. So do not think that in terms of storage, Tableau is more efficient. Accepted, it has unlimited storage, but if you have 100 TB of storage, usually any report which you are developing in Power BI, it might not cross 10 GB. Rarely you can see that scenario. 10 GB is also a very large report. You have to break that report because it will take more time to update and refresh that. So 100 TB is more than enough. Tableau unlimited storage, there is no as such limit, but yeah, even 100 TB is not that small. So this is the basic difference between Tableau and Power BI. So if you're comparing Power BI with any other, now let's compare it with Qlik. See, if you're comparing it with Qlik, Qlik is cheaper as compared to Tab. It has 30 US dollar per user per month. But if you see the storage capacity, it is also 500 GB. Now here, in terms of Power BI, it is 1 GB to 10 GB. This is for Pro license. If it is 100 TB, this is for premium per user license, PPU or PP, the premium per capacity. So in terms of Power BI, we can easily compare it with any specific tool. This is with Power BI and Qlik. If you compare Power BI and MicroStrategy, now you will have a question, why am I comparing with all these tools? See, in current market, Tableau is the second most leading tool. But if you go minus 10 years back, minus 10 years back, MicroStrategy was one of the most powerful tools. Now we are in 2024, somewhere around 2014 or prior to that, maybe 2013, 12, uh, MicroStrategy was one of the most powerful tool. It, I mean, it had a complete market dominance for almost 15 years. So MicroStrategy nowadays, rarely any company is using. If there are legacy reports that company had developed almost 15 years back, even that companies are using Power BI, they are navigating, they are migrating from the MicroStrategy to Power BI. So every comparison, if you compare MicroStrategy, if you compare Qlik, if you compare Tableau, if you compare Google Looker also, Power BI is more efficient. Power BI is cost efficient as well. And the UI of Power BI is very, very easy. How is it so? Any individual who have started using these laptops or desktops, who have started using systems, almost every individual would have started using Windows. Maybe some of you are using Mac, accepted. But at the start of your career, you might have started using Windows. So Windows is a product of Microsoft. If you were using Windows, and in every Windows laptop, we usually get Microsoft Office. So if you have a basic idea about Microsoft Excel, I mean, I'm not saying that Excel is must, but I assume that you people have a basic UI idea of Microsoft Office. If you know basics of Microsoft Office, basics in the sense the UI of Microsoft Office, Power BI is almost similar because both of them are product of Microsoft. Windows itself is part and parcel of Microsoft as an operating system. So whatever you do in Windows, that all UI options are available with respect to Power BI. So going further, as we have seen few comparisons, we would see what is the exact history of Power BI. It was introduced in 2015. It is only 9 years old. It is just 9 years old. Somewhere in the background, I've shown you in 2015 when the Power BI was introduced, Microsoft product, it was way below than Tableau and ClickView as well. But within 7 to 8 years, it has completely dominated the market of business intelligence. Now, a very big question when it was introduced in 2015 on July 24th, you will see many openings where a person is asking you 10 plus years of experience in Power BI. The very first question you should ask to that recruiter, Power BI was introduced back in 2015. Somewhere use of Power BI was more from 2018 when it has dominated the market. Starting from 2018, Tableau and Power BI were neck and neck with the market share. In 2019, Power BI overtaken the Tableau as the market leader. So always have a question wherever you will find total 10 plus years of experience in Power BI. That means somewhere recruiter also doesn't know that Power BI was introduced back in 2015. So ask a question. Okay, if there is an opening where it is mentioned as MSBI, Microsoft BI, yes, it is accepted. Now, what do you mean by Microsoft BI? Microsoft BI doesn't only include Power BI. Yes, it also includes Power BI, but it also includes SSRS. Now, what do you mean by SSRS? See, prior to Power BI, there were some other tools which were introduced by Microsoft which used to look similar like Power BI. That is called as SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Service. So there are SQL Server Analytics Service also, SQL Server Integration Service as well. But SSRS is a reporting tool which was a product of Microsoft prior to Power BI. Still, SSRS is used, but almost every organization who is using SSRS, everyone navigated from SSRS to the Power BI. So it's an outdated tool. Yes, there are a few openings which are related to MSBI, which includes SSRS. There you can assume that 10 plus years of experience is recommended. But wherever only Power BI is mentioned, and that person, recruiter or that HR is asking you 9 or 10 years of experience, you should always ask a question that Power BI was introduced back in 2015. It is only 9 years old, and you can say that the use of Power BI was improved or increased in the year 2018. So 7, 6, or 8, maximum of 8 years of experience is more than enough for Power BI, a pure Power BI opening. Now, it's a product of Microsoft. Yes, it's a product of Microsoft. Along with this 4 5 companies, there are many companies which are using Power BI on day-to-day basis. Yesterday, we have discussed about Twitter, which is called as X now. Twitter is also using the Power BI for their analytical business. There are many government agencies with respect to US and with respect to the Indian government as well, including government agencies. Many companies or many public companies are also using Power BI for their reporting purpose. Why? Cost efficient, easy to use, because many people know the importance, many people know how a Windows system will work, many people know how a Microsoft Office will work, and it is very easy to understand the UI of Power BI if you have a good exposure to Microsoft Office. So this is one of the biggest advantage. Now, when it was introduced in 15, it, as I've said, it came into market from 2018. For almost 2 to 3 years, people were not sure how this Power BI could have been used, but it almost took 2 to 3 years to understand the exact use case, to understand how people would be using this Power BI. So once starting from 2018 till 2024, till today, so it's been almost 6 years. Since last 6 years, Power BI is dominating the market, right? So this is how the market presence it has increased. Um, Now the question comes, how interview questions were framed in 2018, how interview questions are framed in 2024. So this is very important for any Power BI interview. Just to give you an idea, back in 2018, if you were supposed to work as a Power BI developer, they only used to ask you basics about Power BI because it was a new product. Power BI was a very new product. So mostly basic questions were asked in terms of Power BI back in 2018. Whereas in case of 2024, very advanced questions are asked in Power BI. Very advanced. Now that is the basic difference. If you were a Power BI developer, or maybe you have started your career in 2018 with Power BI, um, you can go back and check if you have any senior folks known to you who are using this Power BI since 2018. The questions asked with respect to Power BI were very, very basic questions. But nowadays, all real-time questions are being asked. So that is the basic difference now. Now, maybe going further, how exactly Power BI works. See, there are two different components in which the Power BI is bifurcated. One is the Power BI desktop, which is an offline component, and one is Power BI website or Power BI service, which is an online component. This is an online component. So this is somewhere it is connected to cloud. So whenever data is available from multiple data sources, this is source one, source two, source three, source four, you can connect all this data to the Power BI desktop. You can create your report. Once the report is created, you can publish that report to the online service. So you have to publish that report only to make sure that that report is being viewed by multiple people. So in order to share that report, you have to publish that report to the Power BI service. So Power BI desktop is an offline tool, whereas Power BI service is an online website. From that website, any individual can log in and access the report. So there are two different components, Power BI desktop, Power BI service. Now the question comes, in Power BI desktop, how many components are there? Power BI desktop is the development tool. So in terms of Power BI desktop, it is broadly classified into 6 different components. One is Power Query, Power View, Power Pivot, Power Map, Power Q&A, and Power BI mobile apps. Now the question comes, Power BI desktop is a combination of all these components, and once the report is developed, you have to publish it to the Power BI website. So this is the online component. This is the online component. And these are all the offline components which are part and parcel of Power BI desktop as a single component or a single service. So as I've said, Power BI desktop is a combination of multiple other components, which is Power Query. Power Query is nothing but your ETL component here. It is your ETL component. Power Query is ETL. Power View is where the visuals are created. So we would be discussing all these components in detail. Power Pivot, it is part and parcel of Power Query only. Power Map, it is part and parcel of Power View only. Power Q&A, it is part and parcel of Power View only. Power BI mobile apps. You can create your mobile application or mobile view visuals also in Power BI. So there are 6 different components which are available in Power BI desktop, and Power BI website is where you publish your created reports. So this is how the bifurcation is. Now I'll take a pause. Any questions on the components related to Power BI desktop or any questions on the components related to the Power BI website?
So can you explain Power Pivot again?
Okay. See, I would be explaining the Power Pivot, but Power Pivot is part and parcel of Power Q&A. This is not a separate component. Yes, it is calculated as a separate component, but it is part and parcel of Power Query only. What is the exact usage of Power Pivot? See, if the information is present in the column format, this is the row format, and this is the column format. So if you want to change this information to this format, or if you want to change this information to this format, that is called as Power Pivot.
Means it is the same as a pivot report in Excel, right?
Yes.
Transforming column to rows to column.
Yes. If
By
you know
aggregate, right?
Excel, yes. If you know Excel, almost all the components are similar in Power BI.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Is Power BI website and Power BI service are same?
Yes. Power BI service or Power BI website, both are same. Website is
Okay,
nothing
thank
but an online, you could say, online application which is connected to cloud. You can log into that application and you can share your reports. Any other question?
What is Power Q&A?
Okay, okay, very good. Now, Power Q&A is nothing but a question and answer component. Power Q&A uses natural language processing. We would be discussing this Power Q&A once I show you how to download this Power BI. See, we would be covering all these components. I will show you how to download it first. Then once you download this Power BI desktop, there it is very easy to understand which component is what. Only just to give you an idea, there are 6 different components which are part and parcel of desktop, and one is online service. So I have a question from Suresh. Is Power BI mobile? It is used in apps in mobile. Yes. Whatever you develop in Power BI, if you want to view that Power BI in your mobile, with the mobile view, you can create Power BI mobile also. That mobile app is also created for a single report. You can share that report in mobile as well, in the mobile view. So that option is also available. So this is the basic view of the Power BI desktop once you download it. This is the basic view. In this basic view, the UI of Power BI desktop looks like this. So once you download it, the how to download, we will see that. But once you download it, you will see this window, which would be opened in the very first instance. Now, inside this window, there are different components. This window is called as Power View. This specific window is called as Power View of the Power BI desktop. Now, first thing is, let me show you how to download it. Which systems uses or which system supports this Power BI. So that we will see. Once I download it, I'll explain you what different components or what the basic, you could say, features of this Power BI or Power View has. So make sure to get an idea what is the exact usage of this Power View. So first and very important thing, if you want to download this Power BI, there are few important rules and regulations you have to follow. Now, what all that rules and regulations are? See, let me mention it in Notepad so that it is very easy to understand. It's a product of Microsoft. Was introduced in 2015, July 24th. Now, how to download this? See, simply go to your browser, open the new tab, mention Power BI. That's it. Power BI download. If you mention for this, see, there are options here. There are many options. So you have a flexibility. You can click here, download Power BI desktop from the official website. Go here. So you have an option. Click on download. Here, which component you have to download. Either you go with Power BI desktop, the first option, or else you can go with the X64. There is no difference between both the components. But I would always recommend to go with the second option because it's a easily compatible with your 64-bit laptops. The second one. First one also, it can be downloaded. There is only a difference of 40 MB size. Once you download it, you have to install this application. This is nothing but an executor file which is downloaded. It will take 5 to 10 minutes because it's a 500 MB file. You have to download it. Once you download this 500 MB file, you have to install, double click on it, and it will be installed. Now, the basic rules and regulations. Which OS supports, which operating system supports Power BI desktop? If you're using Mac, no support. There is no way to download or use this Power BI desktop in Mac. Only thing is you have to install some VM, virtual machine, which supports Windows. There are few or free virtual machines which supports Windows. So you have to download it on your Mac system. There you have to install the Power BI desktop. So that is the only way where you can use this Power BI in the Mac. There is no direct support. If you're using Windows, straightforward, easy support, because both are product of Microsoft. If you're using Linux systems, your DOS. Similarly, for DOS or Linux or Fedora, there are multiple operating systems. For all these operating systems as well, you have to use VM, which is nothing but the Windows virtual machine, where you can download the Power BI desktop. These are the only options. You have to download some virtual machine which supports Windows, and inside that virtual machine, you can download the Power BI desktop. Only Windows is the operating system which is directly compatible with the Power BI desktop. Now, system configuration. There are few basic requirements for this Power BI desktop. Your system should be minimum. RAM should be minimum 8 GB. Now, the very big question. I have a laptop, I have a desktop, but the RAM is of 4 GB. Would it work? Would Power BI desktop work easily on this 4 GB RAM? Yes, it will still work. But if you're using Power BI desktop on your system with 4 GB RAM, make sure all other applications are not in use. While using the Power BI desktop, any other application which you have opened in your 4 GB laptop or desktop, you have to close that application. Only in that case, Power BI desktop will work efficiently with 4 GB RAM. But as I've said, minimum recommendation is go with 8 GB RAM. Now, the next question, if I have only 4 GB RAM, should I upgrade it to 8 GB? No, I'm not requesting you to update it to 8 GB. I would make sure that all your applications are closed and only Power BI desktop is open in your system. So 8 GB is the minimum compatibility. 4 GB is where you can still use, but no other application should be opened in the background. If you open any other application with Power BI desktop in 4 GB systems, 4 GB RAM systems, there is a very high chance that Power BI desktop may not work properly. It will stuck at many instances. It is not easy to use. So I would always recommend to close other applications if it's 4 GB RAM. If it's 8 GB, you can parallelly use other applications as well. My own system is only 8 GB. The system which I'm using, it's only 8 GB. So I can open any other application along with Power BI desktop. It will work efficiently. Now, coming down, Power BI desktop, as I've said, it's a offline version. So offline version means it's a application which is downloaded. You have to download this application. Once you download it, once you install this application, let me open the Power BI desktop, which is downloaded at my end. So you have to click on the report, and this is the very first page which you would be able to see. The same page which I've shown you here. This is the ideal UI of the Power BI desktop. So this is the Power View. This component in the Power BI desktop, or this view in the Power BI desktop, is called as the Power View. Why this is called as Power View? Because inside or with this UI, you can drag and drop any visual here. So if I double click on this visual, a visual is getting created here. You have to get data, only then the visual would be visible. But Power View is where you create your visuals. So let me note it down. Power BI desktop components. The very first component is Power View. And in the Power View, we can create visuals.
Ritesh, sorry to interrupt in between. Is there any process to install the Power BI like as we did in the MySQL?
No, it will never ask you for any password or server. It's a
Okay.
pure straightforward application.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Okay, if there are no questions, let's continue. So this component is where the very first page which you can see is the Power View component of the Power BI desktop. View means you can view your report, you can view your visuals. Now, going back, this is the very first page, or this is the very default page which we would be using on frequent basis. Now, inside this page also, there are few important points which we need to consider. See, there are different tabs here: Home tab, File tab, Insert tab, Modeling tab, View tab, Optimize, and Help. Whichever tab you click on it, this is the window, or this you can call it as a ribbon bar. In Power BI, this specific component is called as the ribbon bar. Now, this specific component is called as the visualization pane. PANE. This specific component is called as the data pane. And the third component is called as the filter pane. P-A-N-E, filter pane. Towards left, you can see three icons. This is your report icon. This is your data icon. And this is your modeling icon. Now I'll show you in real time, but remember the names. The above component which is visible is called as a ribbon bar. Towards right, we have data pane, visualization pane, and filter pane default available. Towards left, we have three different views. One is report view, one is data view, and one is modeling view. See, you have three different views here. One is data pane. I can minimize or maximize it. There is visualization pane. You can minimize or maximize it. And there is a filters pane. So these three panes should be default available. For few of you, the filter pane may not be coming. In that case, you have to go to the ribbon bar, go to the view tab. In the view tab, you have these options. Show panes. Filter pane should be auto enabled. If it is not auto enabled, this is how it will look. There is no filter pane. See, there is only visualization, there is only data. If you click on this filter, a filter pane will also come into picture. Now there are other panes as well. One is bookmark pane, one is selection pane, one is performance analyzer pane. So if you click on adding, all the panes would be added. By default, only filter pane is recommended. All the other four panes are not recommended to be added. These panes also has certain use case. Going further, we will understand the exact use case. But for now, filter pane is the only pane which is recommended. If that pane is not available, inside the ribbon bar, go to the view tab, click on this filter pane. That filter pane would be default come here. Now I'll minimize this, minimize this, minimize this. This is the exact UI. Now we have three tabs. Now, along with the third tab, there is one more new tab which is added. This is a new addition. Now the question comes, what is this new addition? If I go back, see here, I did had an option, right? This is a new update to the Power BI desktop. So if it is coming for you, well and good. If this DAX query view is not coming for you, I mean, there is an option how to get this view. We will discuss it further. But what you mean by report view? Report view means whatever visuals you are creating, that visuals can be viewed in the report view. If I go to the table view, whatever data, see, in the report view, you can see visualization pane, data pane, and filters pane. Whereas if I go to table view, only data pane is available. Why? Because table view is only table information. No report information can be viewed here. And the last one is your model view. What do you mean by model? If you load multiple tables, there should be relationship between multiple tables. There should be some connectivity, right? Foreign keys, primary keys, all this comes into picture. So if there is a relationship between multiple tables, only then the Power BI report is interactive report. So that modeling can be done in the model view. Model view, data view or table view, report view. There are three different views. This is not a view. This is a DAX query component. It's a new update. If this update is not available to you, you have to go to the file option, click on options and settings, go to options. It will open a new window, right? This is the new window. So this new window has two options, global and current file. you can go to the preview features. Inside this preview feature, you will have an option, DAX query view. This window would be not checked in for few people. See, if I remove this check-in option for the DAX query view from the preview feature in the global option, let me click on OK. This window will go away. It will take some time, or probably have to close and again reload this Power BI. This window will go away. This view will go away. So for few of you, if this view is not available, simply go to the file, go to options and settings, go to options. Inside this options global window preview feature, check in that DAX query view, click on OK. So this view would also be available. There is no as such use case of this DAX view as of now. But if you have these three views, which are more than enough. Now I'll again go back to the report view. Inside this report view, there are two options. One is Power BI desktop, which is default, and the other one is Power BI mobile. If you want to create mobile view or mobile app like report, you can click here. See, a mobile view is created. So whatever visuals which are available in the desktop, that can be created inside a mobile app as well. Now the question comes, can I create new mobile app? No. You have to first create a report in the desktop view. Only then you can create in the mobile view. See, in the desktop view, you can get all these visuals. But in case of mobile view, there is no visual available. Why? Because you have to first create in the desktop view. Only you can create. I mean, once that is done, you can drag and drop that visual in the mobile view also. Any questions?
So you mean to say that we can't create a new visual in a mobile application? We just can view the application which we have created in desktop, right?
Yes, yes. Any other question?
Sir, app is only for viewing purpose only. We cannot do any DAX or any
See, whatever you will do, it has to be done in the desktop. That can be easily converted to mobile. But in mobile view, new application or new mobile app cannot be created unless and until it is part and parcel of desktop view.
Okay. So we can only see in
Yep.
mobile.
Yes.
Okay.
So in the ribbon bar, if you go to the view tab, default you will be the home tab. If you go to the view tab, here also you will get this mobile layout option. That is that same mobile layout. See, if I uncheck this, it will again go back to the desktop view.
For Power BI service, do we need any credentials?
Yes, our team would be sharing that credentials going further. May not be now. After 2 weeks or 3 weeks, our team would be sharing.
Okay.
So you will get the license, minimum premium per user license, which is 2000 Indian rupees or $20 per user per month.
Okay.
Now coming down, why this is called as Power View? Because you can create your visuals. You can view your visuals. Now, how many default visuals are there? There are 30 plus default visuals. How? Let me give you an idea. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 6 are 36 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So almost there are 40 default visuals which are available in Power BI. These are all the default visuals. Now, not every visual is used until here. Until here. This is not a visual. This is not a visual. These are the R programming language script, and this is the Python programming language script. So this is slightly different. Up till here, these are the default visuals. The below visuals are the new visuals which are introduced since last 18 months. So there are almost 40 different default visuals which you can say are available in Power BI. Now the question comes, if I'm not satisfied with any of these visuals, you have this option called as get more visuals. But you have to log in. Mine is logged in. That's the reason I can see. For you people, get more visuals will not work. Why? Because you people haven't logged in. How you can log in? Only once you would be shared with the credentials, the email ID and credentials. See, for you people, this is how it will look. Sign in. For me, it is already signed in. This is already signed in with one of the email ID which is given by KSR domain email ID. So that's the reason I can see, click on get more visuals. There are almost 300 visuals which are additionally available. So these are all the visuals. Not every visual is easy to understand or maybe easy to use. We will see all these insights, which visual we need to use from the marketplace. This is called as the marketplace. Now towards rightmost corner, you will have an option called as when was this downloaded, or what is the version of the Power BI desktop you are using. For me, it is not updated with the latest one. I can click here and update it to the latest Power BI desktop. If I go back here, see here also, there is update available which is visible. That means you can click here and a new update would be downloaded. Now, how do I make sure which is the latest update which I'm using? Go to help option in the ribbon bar, click on about. I'm using March 2024 update. Yes, you can use any 2024 update. I would not recommend to use 2023. If it's January 24, February 24, March 24, or even October 24, yes, you can use it. So help tab about, here you will get the complete idea. Now, whatever we have seen until now is completely in the Power View. What is Power Query? If I click on transform data, see in the home tab in the ribbon bar, you have this option called as transform data. You have to click here. You can see Power Query Editor. This is where you can transform or clean or manage your data, which is coming from different data sources. In Power Query, there is no visualization option. Why? Because only cleaning data can be done. You cannot visualize anything. If you want to visualize anything, you have to go to the Power BI desktop, which is Power BI View or Power View. Default Power View would be opened. If you navigate, if you want to transform or clean the data, you have to click on the home tab, ribbon bar, transform data, and it will open the Power Query Editor window. This is the Power Query. So we have seen two components. Now the question comes, what is Power Pivot? See, in the Power Query only, if I go to the transform tab, there are multiple tabs here, right? Home, transform, add column. In the Power Query, if I go to the transform tab, you will have an option called as pivot columns, unpivot columns here. Pivot, unpivot. So Power Pivot is part and parcel of Power Query only. It is called as a separate component, but it is part and parcel of Power Query only. So this is Power Pivot. So how many components we have seen? Power View, Power BI Query, which is nothing but your transform data, or it is where your cleaning can be done. Cleaning data. And Power Pivot. This is part of Power Query only. Now coming down to the Power BI desktop again, which is Power View. See, inside this Power View, we have seen mobile app also, which is called as mobile layout. So Power View includes Power BI mobile view. It is part of Power View only, right? 4 components we have seen. Now again, I'll go back to the Power BI view. If I double click on it, see there is something called as Q&A. Now what is this Q&A? This Q&A is nothing but your natural language processing. If you have any data and with that data you want to create a visual, there is this Power Q&A, which is part and parcel of visuals, which includes natural language processing, which includes your automation, which is nothing but your co-pilot. Power BI desktop doesn't have any co-pilot. That co-pilot is called as Power Q&A. Q&A is nothing but you ask a question and it will answer depending on your data. As of now, we don't have any data. That's the reason it is coming as cross. Add data to use Power Q&A. So if we would have some data, we can use this Power Q&A. So Power Q&A is part and parcel of Power View. I'll again mention Power Q&A is part of Power View as visual. It's a kind of visual, right? It is available in the visual tab also. It is available here in the visual tab as well. This question and answer chit chat icon. So how many components we have seen? Again, I'll go back. Power Query, Power View, Power Pivot, Power Q&A. Now, what do you mean by Power Map? Power BI apps also we have seen. Again, I'll go to the Power BI view. Inside this Power BI view, wherever you are using any map visual, there are few map visuals. This is map, this is map, this is map. This is also a map. Whichever visual you are using as a map visual, you can see this is a map visual. So this map visual, whenever you're using any map visual, that is called as Power Map. Power Map is also part and parcel of Power View. Even though it is called as a separate component, but it is always present in the visualization pane. Again, I'll come down, I'll mention Power Map is part of Power View as map visuals. So all the components of Power BI desktop we have covered. Now what every component does going further, we will have a basic idea. Once we load the data, you will get more understanding. But we kind of seen all the components of Power BI desktop: view, mobile view, Q&A, map, query, and pivot. So all 6, or you can say 7 components we have seen. Any questions on this? Any questions? See, I would recommend you to download the Power BI desktop, the application today. Once you download it, try to check all these options, all the tabs, view tab, query tab, pivot tab. Once you get a good idea about this UI, we will see few more insights going further tomorrow, how to load data, how to create a basic visual, which visual can be used where. So that we would be starting tomorrow. So for today's session, we are good with what is the what are the components of Power BI desktop. We have seen that component, we have seen the UI, how to download Power BI desktop. We have seen few comparisons, why only Power BI, why not any other tool. So that all basic idea we have completed. So the theoretical part, the comparison part, the explanation part, we are good with that. Starting tomorrow, it would be more a kind of practical sessions. So I'll take a pause. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Now, today is the second free session. So we will have still 3 more free sessions tomorrow, which is Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. Post that, from sixth session, it would be paid. Again, I'll go back. Again, I'll reiterate it. Just a moment. So what we would be covering for this specific course, I'll again reiterate it so that it is very easy to understand. So we would be covering SQL. We would be covering Power BI, including Fabric. We would be covering Azure services like Azure Data Factory, other Azure services, and some advanced engineering concepts, basics of Databricks, Synapse, and Logic Apps. Not in depth, because that would be more a kind of data engineering. Ours is more a kind of BI as well as data analyst course. So SQL, we have already completed for this batch. One who would be logging or one who would be joining to this Power BI, they would be given option to go through previous SQL recordings, or else if there is any parallelly batch going on, you would be added to that. If you're not satisfied with both the options, you would be again added to the SQL once I would complete Power BI and Azure. Post that, a new batch would be starting. So you would be added to that SQL batch. So that is how it will work. Course duration is of 4 months, including SQL. So if you're joining with Power BI and Azure only, it would be 3 months. Post that, it would be 1 month of SQL. If you parallelly attend SQL with any other batches, well and good. If you're not understanding, you will be given an option to add it to a new batch. Now I'll take a pause. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, silence. I'm taking it as no. I'm not sure if you have any questions. If you still have any questions, write that questions. You can write it somewhere. You can park them. You can, any random question also always welcome. If not me, our team will reach out to you with certain explanation also. If you have any questions, how to join this, always reach out to the KSR team. You can visit our website. There you will get the contact details also. You can visit our KSR website. There you'll get the contact details as well. Right. So once you mention the KSR data vision, you can go to this. This is our website. So once you scroll down, see, the very first pop-up will be get career guidance. You can mention your details here, or else you can scroll down. You'll get the contact details here. Call, email, or you can directly click on this WhatsApp icon. You can send a WhatsApp ping as well. Our team will reach out to you. So second session, we still have 3 more sessions. Try to attend every session. Once that is done, if you are satisfied with my teaching, you can enroll for this post 5 sessions. Right? So assuming that there are no questions, all silence, we are good for today. We will connect back tomorrow with the further discussion or practical implementation of Power BI Desktop. Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good day.